Hello, everyone. Welcome to the December 2023 koha-US Cataloging Special Interest Group. I see a couple people still joining. Hello. And I really enjoyed seeing the newsletter, the Koha newsletter announcement to the new 2311 release. I'm going to put that in the chat. There are several very exciting new features and developments in this. I'm going to put into the chat some things that I'm particularly excited about. There is a new preservation module. This is bug number 30708. And I know we're the cataloging group, but I know there's a lot of tech services people in here, and tech services also handles a lot of book repair and a lot of other behind the scenes functions. And if you haven't checked out this preservation module, I really encourage you to check it out because I think it can be used for some other workflows. The features that I find most exciting is you sort of, take your barcode reader and tweak the items into the preservation workflow, and then you can assign them to these workflows called trains. So, for example, in preservation and book repair, say you've decided that these books are going to the commercial bindery. You then create the commercial bindery train and tweak the books into it. Doop, 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 doop. Think of them as think of that song, come on, ride the train, ride it. And then they go off to the commercial bindery in that train. Then these items are going to go to your in-house, say they need pages reattached. That's going to be your page reattach workflow. Tweet, 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 tweet. Off they go on their train to that. So I was thinking that those of you that have other functions might be able to use this. Say these items are going off to a special event, a special story hour, perhaps even an exhibit. This module and its workflows might be adaptable to that. So take a look. There are a couple other bugs I'm going to call your attention to that I'm excited about. This one is 34075, allows specifying default tab view for authorities, rocking my world. Then 34275 is add a button to easily toggle between advanced and the basic cataloging editors. Be still my heart. The other thing I wanted to call people's attention to is that I put a page on the Koha Wiki on the OCLC Connexion client software and using the client software with Koha. There's a great page already on the wiki about the client browser, but since that interface in the coming year, spring I believe, is going to be discontinued by OCLC, there are a lot of libraries that are converting to installing and using the Connexion client software who have never used it before. So I put this page with just some basics on Connexion client software and then our use study, how we use it and how we put in various data in the 952 to create item records in Koha, that sort of thing. So take a look at it if you're new to the client software. Add, change, bring questions, ask questions, contact me. I can update it. Also, if you've got other ways use the client software, contribute to the page. Put your own use study up there for other users, or I can do it too. It's pretty easy to figure out how to edit the wiki, but I'm always happy to do it to contribute to the wiki also. So those are some things that I thought might be of interest to the group. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring to the group today? I know Janice mentioned some changes in hosting. Did you have questions?
I do, but they're kind of for all the modules, but this is cataloging. So
It's okay. We cataloging's kind of, we feel it's the heart of the system, but of
okay,
course it's, you know, the records are in the OPAC. They're records
okay,
are used by everybody. So ask away. Bring any questions you have.
okay. I know the way you catalog probably won't change as much, but you were discussing the advanced and the basic editor. I know in the past, if you turned on advanced, everybody had advanced. It wasn't based on particular user, but I'm sure that they have made some improvements since then. And now you can do it based on the particular user. Is that correct?
I see some people nodding. I haven't investigated that since I'm the only cataloger in our institution. So
Okay.
if someone else who's more familiar with that would like to speak up?
There is a user permission for the advanced editor, so you can go into their account and uncheck that permission if you don't want them to use it.
Okay, what particular version does that start?
I'm not sure. I think it's been there a while.
Okay, well, we're on 21.11, but we're in the process of migrating to Bywater hosting us, and we'll be on the latest 23 something, they said.
Yeah,
But I have a
2305.
few advanced catalogs and they've been asking me. And so I didn't know if I turned it on now, was that setting already in there or?
It should be. You can check if you pull up an account and go to their permissions page. It's under the edit catalog little collapsed thing.
Janice, I know for us that I toggle between the two. I have a copy cataloger that uses the basic editor, and then I have an originals cataloger that just uses the advanced. So we all three are using it in different ways.
Okay. Let's see, I'm finding one of my users.
I also
While you're doing that, Heather, thank you for putting up the OCLC Connexion client information. What was puzzling me is how to get from, you do a search and you come up with multiple records for the same thing, how to get from one to another. I figured that out. Is there a way to configure it so that we'll show you how many libraries are listed as using that record, and if, let's say, DLC or NLM or PCC is the primary, or is one of them? I didn't see that client, but I'm busy with other things.
I'd be happy to share my screen and open up my Connexion client if folks would like to see that. Yeah, let me go ahead. Let me share my screen. Okay, are folks seeing my desktop? Okay. So here's Connexion client. Logging in. Let me do a search. Oh, too many to display. That's interesting. Well, I want something that's going to pull up quite a few. Let's do something a little bit. There we go. 26. So I've minimized right now my screen with all y'all. So if anybody has anything to tell me about, speak up. This column L is holding libraries, and this D means DLC. To see which libraries hold it and how many libraries are using a particular record, when you open that, I think it might be under the view display. I use a lot of keyboard shortcuts, and I believe it's Control-Shift-A gives you all the holding libraries.
It also says it at the top there. It says no holdings in UDU, but 786 other holdings.
Yes, thank
Maybe
you. Thank
that
you for
just-
pointing that out.
Is there a way to show that on the main screen?
There may be.
Yeah.
I know you.
That first search that you did, I can never remember how it does the two, but on that first search, it had the holdings on that screen in the search results. But this, because there's more to the list, it then takes it out. But I've never been able to get it in list format like this to show it.
There are some really good training classes. And as you can see, there's a lot that I'm not familiar with anymore because I haven't been using it. Let me do one more thing. The command line search has some limiting options, and this is where you do those like 3221 strings, like making it so title search is 3221, so it would be MAKITSO, comma, and you can limit here to source and get DLC if you're just really interested in a DLC record. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. I'm going to stop sharing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up the Connexion training classes and put that in the chat. There's one that I'm taking on batch functions, and the last time I took a cataloging training from OCLC on Connexion client in batch functions was so long ago that I'm looking forward to the refresher. So I know I've seen that page. I'm going to look for it and put it in the chat. I highly recommend their trainings.
Heather, I have a question about OCLC.
Of course.
We are an archive library. So we do have an account with OCLC, but I think we're like limited to like 500 downloads a month or something like that. And they just go to the website and log in, and then they'll search for the, if we get something in, and they search it to see if has it already been cataloged or something, and then they'll download it, and then they'll import it into the catalog, into koha. Are you saying we need to use the client going forward, or the way we're doing it is still fine?
Which, when you say they're going into OCLC and downloading, are they, say, in a web browser going to connection.oclc? Yeah, that interface in 2024 is going to be discontinued.
Okay.
Let me look up the
If the
exact.
client is like say if we have 3 people that do it, we'll have to pay for 3 client licenses, or?
You don't pay anything separately for the client software licenses.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the Connexion client training. And when you say that you are limited to the number of record downloads, I would encourage you to take a look at your cataloging subscription, because the pricing has changed a lot over the years. And for example, we now have utterly no limits on the number of searches, number of downloads, etc. We just pay a subscription fee.
Okay, I'm on the techie side, so I will double check with the people that sign those
Yes.
requisitions and ask about that.
Yes, I think we have unlimited too. We probably don't use it enough to make cost per record worthwhile, except for my sanity. My boss figures it's worth a couple $100 a month to retain it.
Okay.
Yeah, Michelle's put in the chat that it was the same. Yeah, there used to be lots of per transaction fees.
Okay.
But that in recent years has been pretty much eliminated.
Okay. I logged into one of the users and I see where under edit catalog, I see the first one, it says use the advanced catalog and editor. And if I check that, that's what she'll be using. Okay, I will do that. My next question is, I have 2 records that I'm having problems with. One is a disconnected record. This is what the cataloger sent me as help desk. We have the main record, and then he said there should be 5 folders, but folder 5 is not showing. But it does exist. And he gave me the barcode number for that particular item. And then he says all the analytics are attached and everything looks good, but it's not, that folder 5 is not attached to the main record.
So are you saying that the folder 5 has its own bibliographic record as an analytic that should be connected to the main record, or that folder 5 is an item record that's not on the right bib record?
I'm thinking he's saying folder 5 is not attached to the main record. It's an item record that's not attached, I think. I'm getting ready to search for the record.
Yeah, because if it's an item record in Koha that's on the wrong bib record, attaching it to the correct bib record is a pretty simple thing to do.
Well, that's what I thought, but I'm not sure if I'm understanding him correctly. Can I share my screen?
Please. Okay, we're seeing your screen.
Tell me what you're seeing. I have a long Samsung 49-inch monitor, and so I need to share the right. I have
Yes,
like
we're seeing a list of records. The first column is item type, then current library, home library.
Okay, so this is the record. And then as I scroll down, you can see the items.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is not for long, it's a link to electronic resource. But
Right.
then here you have the folder 2, folder 3, folder 4, folder 6, and folder 7. And then these are the barcodes. And so he's saying there is a folder 5, but he can't attach it to this. He gave me the barcode of folder 5. And so if I search the barcode for folder 5, this is it right here, folder 5 right here. And it needs to be attached to the other.
That's actually a fairly simple thing to do.
Okay.
I know I've done it, but every time I do it, I have to look up in the manual how to do it.
Okay.
Thank you for nodding.
I've been looking in the manual, but I've been looking in the manual, but I'm not looking in the right place. I know.
I think what you do is go back to the target records you want your folder 5 to be attached to. So not this record, that other record.
Okay.
Yes, Margaret, it is really easy when you remember. Yeah, it's a simple, quick thing, but yeah.
And then scroll up on your screen and click that normal button right at the top across from the tabs.
Click what now?
The button that says normal, you're close to it with your cursor. Go, yeah, click that.
Okay. It didn't do anything.
And then, oh, well, maybe we were already on that screen. So
okay.
Now click edit and go to attach item. It's about midway down.
Okay.
And then you put your barcode of folder 5 in there and say submit. And so now it's attached it to the record, hopefully. I find that to be a strange process. I don't know why it has to be on this particular screen. You can't do it when you're just looking at the item view of the record. You have to do it through this normal view tab. Okay. And I would like to have that attach item, like I'm already on my item page with my items. I'd like to be able to do it from that screen.
Uh-huh.
And I'd also like to be able to do it by record number instead of only by barcode.
Okay.
Sometimes you're dealing with digital items and they don't have barcodes. So then I have to go in and put a dummy barcode in the item record in order to get it to attach to the other bib and then go take out the stupid dummy barcode.
Okay.
So to me, the process is a little convoluted, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy.
Okay. All right. That one is fixed. Thank you. I have another.
I'm so glad you brought this up because it was a good refresher for those of us that do this very occasionally.
Okay. The other one is duplicate item, and one needs to be deleted. She said she has 2 holding entries for a record. The bib number, she gave me the bib number. She said, somehow I managed to get the record linked to itself and not to a box. I want to keep the record, but need help deleting the holding. The usual delete option is not available because of the linked analytics. So this is the record. And these 2, I'm assuming those are 2 that she's talking about.
Oh, this is very, very easy to delete those item records.
Okay.
Yeah, scroll up on your screen and you're going to open that edit button again. Yep, and then we're going to go to edit items. And now in the actions button for the item, you're going to see a delete. Yep.
Cannot delete. Item has linked analytics.
Okay.
I know what that means. I had that problem. Someone's using easy analytics.
Yep.
On that number. So search for the that item number in a keyword search, because you have to delete that 773 that's being used in another record. This is one reason why we're using control numbers now, so that this doesn't happen to me anymore.
Okay. So what do I need to do again?
So just in your search bar, search for that item number, because it's not going to, since it doesn't have a barcode, it's also easier if it's a barcode.
Mine all
Yeah.
thankfully have barcodes.
These two don't have a barcode, but this one does. And then I don't see the item number.
Go to
Uh,
the items
It's
page.
it's in the URL up there. 234825.
Okay,
There
that.
you
Okay. Do I open it
go.
or do I just go to action?
Open it. That's the same one. Click on edit.
To the record. Look like.
Click on the edit for the record. I think I see what's going on. Click on the 7 tab. Scroll down to the 773. So you need to delete both of those 773.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not sure why they have them on this record, but now, so you have the system preference easy analytics turned on. When you put the item records, when you attach them using easy analytics, they will appear on the screen. It only works with that system preference. It's
okay.
So now it's not there. Does the item that is still there supposed to be deleted?
She didn't say. She said it was the two that were the same. So those were the two that were deleted.
Okay.
I will, once we get off this call, I'll tell her to take a look at it and see if that's what she's she's saying. Thank you so much. I'm trying to see was there anything else. Oh, disconnected record. Oh, that was the one we just did. Okay, that's all dealing with cataloging stuff. My next question dealing with Bywater hosting us is, we're an art, I always say that we're an archival library and we function a little different than a regular library. We do circulate, but nothing leaves our building. So if you got to be here to see anything, if you're gonna check it out, and then you check it back in before you leave. So we also had it set where if you visited our catalog online, and we had it restricted by IP address. So if your IP did not fall within the range that we had set, you should not be able to place a hold or anything like that. You could just view. So we also had a development done for the place hold slips. The way it works, once the patron find what they're looking for, and when they click place hold, the place hold slip automatically prints. Now that we are moving to Bywater hosting us, and we cannot open a port for them to connect to the printer that's here, I looked at using the native hold slip process. And I went through a training little walkthrough with, I think it was Liz, with Bywater, which will take us from 1 click to about 3 or 4 clicks. So is everybody using the native? Are you all doing something a little different? We're trying to figure out, because this is kind of like our hold up for us going live.
So we're also a museum, library, archive, etc. Our archives and museum objects collection uses a different catalog, but we have a lot of their, yeah, you're nodding, it's weird.
Yeah.
So yes, we circulate items to staff only, and they can take certain stack items to their offices, etc. And everything else has to be used in the reading room. What we have done is we have people, we've created this category of patron called a guest user. And all they need is an email address in order to create a guest user account. And when they're searching our catalog, they can create this they can self-register as the guest user. Then they have the ability to place holds, add items to cart, things like that. And what we found is that our guest users actually use the cart function a lot more, because then they can simply email that cart to our reference librarian. And it's a lot simpler and a lot less complicated than the place hold function. Certain staff members use the hold function and really like the hold function, but I'm kind of nodding over holds. I'm less familiar with them. All our public library users are going to be way more familiar with the functions and options and probably have a better solution than I'm coming up with. But I would really encourage investigating the cart. We found that the cart works great.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Chuck Athey. I'm with the Sacramento Family Search Center. We've just recently put on Koha about 3 months ago. We have about 40,000 books in the Koha. About 15,000 are currently on site, and we're digitizing all of our books. We have most digitized. We only have about 3,000 left to go. So we're getting really close. So first question, in the digitization process, we have to pull them off the shelf. They get looked at for copyright and those kinds of things. Then we digitize it. And if it's copy protected, we keep the copy in a box in storage, and we keep the online copy available via Koha within our library. So we're trying to use the location field for the item to indicate where it's at in that process. And when we change the location, we're finding out it's changing the permanent location as well as the location itself. I only want it to change the location because it's eventually going to go back to that permanent location, although it's going to go to storage. We're using a separate branch for storage. So we transfer things to that other branch when they actually go into a box and get put in a storage location. Is there a way to kind of separate that changing of the permanent location when you change the location field?
If I'm hearing you right, it's a fairly common situation where actually there's like 10 different possibilities in my head. Sorry. I'm like, which thing do I say? Lots of libraries use the temporary cart location when they're checking something in and they want it to go to an automatic but temporary, say 24-hour shelving cart scenario. That's one possibility.
So
the other thing is
we have
a
used
lot
that.
of libraries want to do what you're doing and have it revert to a different, be able to change the location and have that be a temporary location. And then when they say check it back in, have it revert to its permanent location. I might not be saying that quite right, but it sounds to me like what will actually do what you want to do is, instead of changing the location, change its not for loan status. And if you use the not for loan status, then when you check it back in, you can have in your system's preferences, you can have change not for loan status on check-in from this to this. So we actually use that when we check it in, it changes it from in processing to available. And you can set it to whatever you want.
So I've seen those fields in there in the preferences. So what you're saying though is that when I move it to the scanning stuff, I check it out to the scanning. I don't, because it's still in the library.
Not checking it out necessarily. What you would do is, or what my brain says that I would do. This may not be exactly right for you, but what my brain would do is change them in a batch. So not checking them out, but use the batch modification tool to
the batch item modification,
change that to scanning something.
That's what we do.
Yeah. And then when you're done, you can check them in one at a time. it doesn't
You
need
use
to be
batch-
checked out to use that. So it just changes the status back to available or whatever your default location
So
is.
the batch modification tool changes which field?
You can use the batch modification tool to change everything other than barcode. Like,
Okay, when I use it, so which field should I be changing for this then?
The not for loan field, which I believe is a subfield 7 in the 952 field.
And if you don't have something that you like already set up in there, you can create whatever you want in the not for loan field. It doesn't have to be out of the box.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we
So
created
using the not for loan field instead of the location field,
exactly.
Basically. Okay. That does make sense.
Yeah. Do you want me to show you? I can show you if that
no,
would be
I understand that. It's just
okay, good.
We were trying to use the location field because it seemed like it would be the right one, and it keeps changing permanent location. I don't want that.
Yeah, a lot of people go through that cycle when they go live. They go, but that's what it is, and they're like, so yeah.
So the other question I have is maybe some of you know how to do this. We would like to make our catalog available to patrons not at our library. We have people from all over the U.S. calling us. We're a historical archive library as well, so we don't check out anything. All of our books will be available in a PDF at our site. We'd like to be able to use something like Libby to allow them to see it for, check it out for an hour kind of thing. Is that doable? I know that there's a Libby interface in Koha someplace, but haven't been able to find a lot out about it.
I would encourage you to reach out and talk to the Internet Archive at archive.org. We have when we're digitizing items, we put them up. Items that are public domain, we put them up into a collection on archive.org, but also archive.org, the Internet Archive, works with libraries and collections to make things available for free via a free account via openlibrary.org, which is also part of them, to check out for an hour or two at a time to read the items.
Okay. I will do that.
There's probably other ways to do it, I'm sure. This is one that I'm familiar with, and I use it. I have an account at archive.org and openlibrary.org, and I use it all the time. I find it really helpful in cataloging because sometimes I'm cataloging something that's uncommon and unique, and I need to compare our edition with another edition, and I can check out the edition on Open Library with my free account for an hour and take a look at it.
Okay, that's a good idea. Just so people kind of have an idea of where I'm coming from, we are a family search center, part of Family Search International. And anything that's public domain, they put up for us. So we send them the book, we send them the scan, and it's now out of our catalog. But there is so much that's copy restricted. They can't put it up. If we send them the book and the scan, they give you a page that says, yeah, you can't look at it, which is not helpful at all. So we're keeping those ourselves and want to make them available. We're also anticipating expanding from just being our center. We're in Sacramento, California, and there are about 15 genealogical societies in Sacramento, and they all have their own libraries. Frequently they use Library Thing, but it's not really great for them. So we're going to make our Koha available and let them be branches. So hopefully we'll have a central location for this stuff. And if we can make our PDFs available for searching, on an hour basis, one at a time, so that we honor copyrights, then we'll be very pleased.
I know that, well, first of all, Montgomery County, Maryland probably has a bigger budget than you do. But it's certainly possible to check out a book via PDF and have it expire a couple of weeks later. I did that for a book club I'm in, and they hadn't sent me the book yet. Also, probably doesn't apply in your situation, but you can put the not for loan status on as a field on the item record. You go into items and then edit. Add that.
Yes.
We added missing status. Because a lot of our books go missing.
Yeah, I think that comes out of the box in the lost field. There's a missing. Yeah. Well, this is really exciting, Chuck. I'm just down the road from you. I live in Berkeley. Our library's in San Francisco, and actually, my in-laws and my husband's from Sacramento, from Fair Oaks. So,
Well, I'm actually from the Dublin Hayward area.
oh,
I worked at the Family Search Center in Oakland for about 4 or 5 years, and I managed their systems. And I moved up to Sacramento, and I'm doing it for them. We actually have all of the books from the Oakland, Los Angeles, and Sacramento libraries in our catalog at this point. So we're trying to clean the catalog up, get everything scanned, and at that point, we'd like to make it available outside the library, but we're making
great.
progress.
We're excited to have you as part of the Koha community and our cataloging group.
Well, Family Search has actually moved to Koha and Aspen and have contracted with Bywater. But Family Search isn't they don't have the desire to make these things available if they're copy protected, because it's going to cost them more money and they don't have the funding. So
that's where Internet Archive, I find, is they're doing it. They're backed by the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Check them out.
I know them well.
Yeah.
I've used them quite heavily because I was in computer security for 40 years. So
excellent. Well, Margaret had a question.
Ran into something yesterday that I had never seen before, and I would like other people to see it too and tell me if they've ever seen it before. So I need to share my screen, and I hope I can remember how to do it.
Take your time. At the bottom of your Zoom window, you should see. There you go. Yes, we're viewing Margaret Brown's staff client.
Okay. Have you ever seen that error before? I have never seen that.
We are still just seeing your main staff client page.
So now what do I do?
Hit share screen, or in that screen, end your share that you're on now. You need to select when you share the screen, you need to select the very first one that says screen and looks like your Zoom window.
Oh, okay, like that.
Maybe stop sharing and then start over.
Stop the share first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, now I've got to figure out how to do that.
That's all right.
If you hover your mouse near the bottom of the screen, I think it'll the stop share button will show up. If I'm remembering correctly.
The stop share should be at the top, a red button.
Was the top?
It should say stop sharing.
See, we not only help with Koha and cataloging, we help with Zoom.
And we did this before and I couldn't figure it out.
Let's see, maybe as host I can do something.
So Margaret, if you move your mouse and you can see your bottom buttons, your menu bar showing like mute, stop. At the top, you should see you are viewing. Margaret.
I can stop her sharing. There we
thank
go.
You. Thank
okay,
you.
Margaret, let's try it again.
Okay.
And
all right.
I learned a host option.
Okay, share the screen. So I pick out the one, let's see if it's this one. How about that?
There we are.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that before.
I have. Those are scary errors. I usually just submit those records to Bywater because there's something in the data that needs cleaned out, and anytime I try to clean it out, it doesn't work. So
Okay.
Yeah,
I just open a ticket with that one.
I've seen the same thing. I can't report it to Bywater, so I just look up the at the biblio number. Okay, yes. I look up the record itself and try to find out where the error is. Sometimes it's
I had
two records
exactly
squished
that
together.
error last week, and is part of why I'm here.
Sometimes if you're using Z3950, sometimes you can go up and overlay it, like pick a new record and
Yeah, I
overlay the
tried that.
record.
I tried
Yeah,
that.
you can't.
Didn't
So
help.
yeah, usually I have to open a ticket on these because like it's locked up and I can like we can't get to the data like Fred can in the back end to unlock it basically.
Did you upload this as part of a batch?
No.
Oh. That
No,
usually
we
happens.
do.
How did you upload it? Do you remember?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How did you upload it? Do you remember whether it was it?
It was Z39.50, but I don't. I tried 2 or 3 different sources, and
Okay.
I could never get it to be different from this.
I couldn't remember how I did mine, so I was hoping.
Yeah, I've never seen this before.
Don't know if this will work, but try exporting the record and opening in MarcEdit and look for the phrase eliminated as the root of climate change. Because somehow that phrase is where it should not be.
Oh.
It says the parse error is an invalid character somewhere. That's what it seems like it's saying.
The one. Mine only lives on a piece of paper. And mine didn't have an invalid character. I did exactly as you were thinking. Not saying that this won't work on this one, but I actually did that. I exported it back out to MarcEdit because I usually am loading from a batch, like I edit MarcEdit and then I bring it in a batch. And it didn't have an invalid character where it said it was, and it was super weird. And it turns out what fixed mine was another staff member of mine, because the reason I didn't delete it and start over was that we had an order on the record. And so my staff member, and we had holds, so I just loaded a new record, deleted and created a new item, and then sent it out. And of course, because I'm tired, I didn't move the holds. So downstairs they were like, what? And but my acquisitions person remembered that if you move the item, it moves the order. So she was able to use what they all just walked Janice through to move the item in the order. And then she was able to delete this weird record.
Okay, I might just start over from scratch.
Yeah, if you
and
can
then move the
over.
item in the order record over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was doing the right thing because I knew there were holds and I knew I needed to hustle, but then
okay, I'll try that before I send it to Bywater.
Yeah. I had not gotten an answer from my ticket. They assigned it to Enika, and I just hadn't heard back yet when I heard from my staff member who solved it. So
okay, well, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. There.
Yeah, also, and this is not the case for you, sometimes when things look really weird, I go back into the batch I've uploaded, and turns out that there's not a space between record A and record B. And I thought it was the LDR field that indicated new record. Nope, it's space between lines in MarcEdit.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that title in your error message is in there and Koha thinks there's 2 records on the same record.
That's what it looks like to me.
And then that would totally it's like two things are using the same item number, biblio number, and it's like, I don't know what you want me to do. I can't display both of them at the same time.
Right, or some sort of double 245 thing. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
It
guess
looks
you'll
like
understand why I was weirded out, because my error message said biblio data ID equals 4000196 and biblio number equals 400200.
okay,
And
so it could have some sort of disconnect.
yes.
yeah. And I just, because I nerded out about this, and so those live in the 996 or 999C and 999D, which is why I'm here. Thinking maybe you guys would have seen. So it's kind of a reporting thing, because it's only a problem when I'm doing reporting, because I match on the biblio number. And I think I'm like, when I'm looking for biblio metadata. And so I'll get a report that says this title has this metadata in it, this mark data in it, and it's utterly different records. So I have 22,000 records where the 999C and the 999D don't match, and I don't know if that's a problem. Is it a big problem?
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's your mark, something got corrupted.
Yeah, and I knew I'd seen it before where I went, well, that's weird. But it never caused a problem. And then I saw this, which also just happened to be on the Wuhan cover up. I don't know if you can see that. So it made me think about conspiracy theories writ large. But then I'm like, okay, well, I'm living with it, like it's fine. But then I was like, this is way bigger. And so I was literally in the middle of writing this ticket saying, no, seriously, I think there's a big problem. And then the reminder for this meeting showed up. So I was like,
yeah, that could be a big problem. I would definitely write up the ticket with Bywater.
Okay.
Because it's going to take some investigation to figure out which is the preferred number in the subfield C or the subfield D, and then they can help you or do the process to make the non-preferred number match the preferred number, so that your subfield C and your subfield D match.
So it would seem to me that preferred would, for me, because I match in the 999C, I know I'm like, when I'm doing specific biblio matches, I know it's the C. And so basically I could just start with, I have this many, they need to match. How do they do that? Because it's...
Yeah, this is a thing that I would have Bywater help with. I know that the bibliographic modification tool can be used. I know that Margedit can be used.
Oh, really? Okay, so if I change, like, I could test this myself on one, but like if I just change the D to match the C, doesn't that affect things?
I would investigate where, like, what caused it. Like, was it an import? Like, you imported bad records. Well, if that was the case, undo the import.
I think it happened
export all those records and then do all. That happened to me where I was working on a batch of records in Margedit, and then one day I go to validate and I'm like, oh no, my C and my D don't match. I don't know which one's right. So I just had to start all over again.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
Just because if you start messing with those, like, you could cause a lot of damage. So yeah, they need to investigate on what caused it and where did it come from, because you gotta
you don't want this to happen in the future, even if it happened so long ago that you really don't want to undo it, because you've got a lot of
I wouldn't even know what to undo.
Exactly. But and I would try to identify the cause as best you can to avoid it in the future. But if it happened a long time ago, you may not be able to.
So we had a lot of loads in the when we stage records for load, and then when we hit load, it actually will stage them multiple times. I know it's weird, and they're like exactly the same, and then one shows imported, and then it says 3 more that are staged, and it's in the back of my mind, just kind of niggling. I was like, I wonder if that's related. But we've also had, and that's only very, very recent. But in the past, we've also had some where it just didn't, like, this was prior to the last upgrade, where it would never finish a load. And it had to do with the batch, or not batch, it had to do with the
background jobs.
Background jobs. It had to do with the background jobs not working correctly.
Yes, I found something very similar. I haven't looked into it to see when and where it happens in order to figure out why. But see, a couple days ago, I uploaded say about 480 web records. They got them. I think it was when it was after stage for import. I think it was import into the catalog, and it just disappeared. And that it did it.
Disappeared.
Yeah, and I looked at the job list and said something about invalid mark file. I did it again. Same file, worked perfectly. So I'm in the process of being confused.
Yeah, this doesn't even say that the mark file was there. Doesn't say anything that was wrong with the mark file. It just says, and it's absolutely mind-boggling. It says done 1,012 out of 604.
I don't.
Like,
nothing works with me.
I would definitely take this up with Bywater.
Okay.
You may also want to post about it to the main Koha email list to see if anybody else has this, because there may be a bug going on that could be added to Bugzilla too.
I'm working with, I'm sorry, Heather. I'm working with Margaret on our migration, and she told me that they have a scripted data checker, and they can run it, and it checks for orphan item types, authorized values, and all the, any kind of scruffy stuff that they can find in the background. So maybe
I'm gonna steal the phrase scruffy stuff for data. Thank you.
I have a question for you. The 999 C and D records, are they in the more marked XML or more subfield XML database record for the items, or are they in the biblio record?
Those are bibliographic mark fields, and you can see them when you view the mark record for bibliographic.
I have seen the C and D fields show up in the item record in the more subfield XML field. I'm a database person too, so I'll actually look at the database itself. And they've appeared when there hasn't been a mapping from koha to mark for an item. So typically, for instance, I didn't have a mapping for the location to the correct, 952C. There was just blank. And when I would change the location, it would add in a mark subfield 999C in the item record.
That's weird.
Yeah, I agree, but that's what it does. So, and I actually looked at the Perl code. If it doesn't find the mapping, it creates a 999 field in either the mark field in the biblio or the XML field in the item record. So very likely whatever you did was caused by not having a correct mapping.
Let's see, our mappings have been ostensibly correct for a long time.
All you need is one missing, because it's a mapping not being there. If there's one missing that some record had in it, it will start creating those 999 fields.
Oh,
And if you look at the Perl code, that's what it does. It checks to see if there's a mapping, and if there's no mapping for it, and it doesn't have a hard-coded mapping for that data, it creates a 999 C or D field.
Interesting.
So just a thought on what I've seen. So
no, that's
thank
useful.
you, Chuck. Yeah. Lauren pipes in the chat for this record. Okay, we'll see you, Janice. Thank you for coming. Looking forward to seeing you again. Lauren says subfield C is correct because it matches the catalog and record number at the top. Wonder what is using that subfield D. Yeah, and Lauren, if folks would like to stay for a little minute, you had something?
So yes, I have two things. One, I found a resource for cataloging videos, and I thought of Fred. The important role of cartoons and comics in libraries. Here's the video. So it's LIANZA. It's a New Zealand cataloging group.
Yes, Lianza, love them.
Some stuff on like Mark Edit, but like just a lot of good cataloging tools. I'm like, oh, I need to share this with people. This looks like really good.
Yeah.
So my question, I had my library closed and I'm wanting to move books from my library to another library that's part of our consortium, and they sent me a list in Koha, which I'm like, I should be able to like just use the items in this list and just do a batch item record. And no, I couldn't. And I'm like, well, maybe I can put it in the cart. And that, so like when someone shares me a list of things in Koha, like what's the easiest way to do a batch item modification on those records?
Yes, please, from Portsmouth Public Library.
I personally find the fact that the lists are lists of bibs to be utterly useless. Utterly useless.
We find them useful for things like recommended reading, that sort of thing, because people don't care which item they're getting.
So
but
like
yeah,
Circ loves it. They're like, what's your problem? And I'm like, same reason I don't use advanced search. Like when I want something, I want something. So what I've come up with a couple of reports that will grab that list and give you a list of contents of that report, or contents of that list in item specific, which means that you could say, give me all the items in that bib that are in my library, and then you could use the batch edit. Do you want me to send you that sequel? I might not be able to come up with it quickly, but
please contribute it to the Koha Wiki and share it in Mana if you participate in Mana.
Yeah, I do actually, and I'm pretty sure it's been shared. Let me make sure I'm actually offering something I really have. I'm pretty sure.
And please also put that on the Koha Reports Wiki. And if you need help with that, or you'd like me to put it up for you, let me know.
Yeah.
And if you just want to send it on the cataloging listserv.
Yeah, I can do that.
I check that. That way you don't have to do it now. You can like, you have the rest of the day or week.
So the cataloging listserv, is there a Bywater specific one or a Koha specific one, or do you mean Slack? Because I could put it on Slack. Really
no,
easily.
it's not Slack. It's our cataloging special interest group has its own email list too. Oh, reach out to info@koha-us.org and ask them to add you.
For the cataloging SIG list.
Yes.
Okay. That is the...
Oh, thank you, Lauren. Cataloging at koha-us.org in the chat.
Oh, okay.
And
it's a Google group.
And the only thing you need to know is, like, when you're doing it, all you need to do is be able to go find the list number, the shelf number, and then just say, like, I want the contents of this shelf number formatted differently is all it does. And it's one of the things that I have done a background or a backdoor workaround for the fact that lists aren't what I want them to be.
Thank you, Michelle. Michelle put the information in the
Thank you.
in the chat. You guys rock.
I'm glad I came. I feel very useful. I could go take a nap now.
Yes.
Thank you all very much for your help. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Really, thank you all for bringing these things, because one thing I love about this group is that I'm always learning too.
Mm-hmm.
So am I. I didn't understand a word of most of what you said today, but at least I have some ideas and a headache.
And I'm glad they're recorded. Speaking of which, I'll go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you all.
Oh, wow. I just joined it.